Good afternoon, church family. I hope you're doing well. Hopefully you're getting or all cleaned up from the major snow that we had. First real major one of the season, and I'm surprised it's taken this long, but I'm also not complaining. And a quick shout out to Kurt for helping clean out the around the dumpster. Because towards the end of it had this like sandy, like you were shoveling sand, and so I got tired doing the rest of the doors, and he came over with his snowblower and helped out. And so thank you, Kurt, for that. Just a few quick announcements. Keep on your agenda for February 13th, Sisters of Hope, in person and Zoom. We are not doing a Super Bowl party, obviously, because COVID's still here. Party here at the church, so sad for that, but it is what it is. And please be in prayer for us as a church and also local churches in the state and the country. I was in a pastor's meeting this morning and really trying to push for some relaxation on some of the restrictions, specifically when it comes to attendance. And so if there is some relaxation that comes down the pike, pray for how we respond and what that means for us. And so be thinking through as a church family, what do you need to see and what do we need to see happen around us to bring us all back to in person. And we are thinking of you. We are praying for you. We miss those of you who have not been able to attend in person, and we are really itching to see you again and worship together in the same room, in the same building, and not rely on live streams of that nature. And thinking of not being able to be in person, it was good to see those of you who were able to on Zoom for our annual meeting. I think it went well. There were a couple hiccups here or there, especially at the beginning. I had set up polls to go, but that there was an issue with multiple accounts that were being used for my name, and that got all messed up. And by the time I saw what was going on, I would have had to potentially leave the meeting, and then it could have messed up for everything with you at home. And so things went well. I did, and with that, I wasn't able to record right away. So we missed about the first 15 or 20 minutes on the recording, but I am putting in this email a link so that those of you who are unable to see can kind of go back and see the annual meeting. And I'll keep that active for about a month or so. And thank you for your patience and willingness with the constitutional changes. And I have the updated Constitution in that email as well. So take a look for those of you who are members and pray for the elders as we now begin to implement and go by these changes. And I think that's pretty much it. We'll look forward to seeing you on Sunday as we celebrate communion together. And for those of you from home. But as I come to our kind of little devotional thought, one of the things that floats around a lot nowadays is this idea of fact-checking. We have a new president, and around this time of year, we're looking forward to current president's State of the Union address, and you have we have Democrats, we have independents, we have Republicans that fact-check the president and political parties and claims that were made. And a big thing even on the internet today is fact-checking websites and this, that, and the other thing. And we're kind of all up in arms about, it's not fair, who fact-checks who, and all of this. While there is a lot of shade being thrown around and shady things oftentimes when it comes to fact-checking, because we dwell on what we want to hear, it began to make me think about Christians and truth. And for Christians, while we need to be concerned about fairness in fact-checking and all of these things, but as Christians, as people of the truth, we should be the first and foremost to support this idea of fact-checking. And I always go back to one of the first Well, let's go back to the Old Testament when we have the laws about 2 or 3 witnesses. Don't have a charge or a claim just come with only one witness. You have 2 or 3. That is a fact-checking thing. So even part of God's original law for his people was don't just assume one person has the whole story, but do your research. Follow the laws of God's truth, of confirmation and looking into things. And that's why Proverbs also says, a man's words seem right until another comes to examine him. We need both sides before we go making assumptions and proclamations of truth and accusations and all this. And, we also need to remember that Paul was fact-checked. Do you remember that? We go back to Acts 17. Paul goes to Thessalonica, preaches the gospel, then he has to leave under duress, and he and Silas go to Berea. And it says, the brothers immediately sent Paul and Silas away by night to Berea, Acts 17, verse 10. Verse 11, now these Jews were more noble than those in Thessalonica. They received the word with all eagerness, examining the scriptures daily to see if these things were so. Many of them therefore believed, with not a few Greeks, women of high standing as well as men. But when the Jews from Thessalonica learned that the word of God was proclaimed by Paul at Berea, also they came there to agitating and stirring up the crowds. Then the brothers immediately sent Paul off on his way to the sea, but Silas and Timothy remained there. Those who conducted Paul brought him as far as Athens, and after receiving command from Silas and Timothy to come to him as soon as possible, they departed. And so we see in this that Paul is teaching, and the people there fact-checked him. They went back to the scriptures. They went back to see if what he was saying was true. And when they validated what was true, what he was saying, they believed. And it's so easy today to just share tidbits of opinion, of news, of graphics, of sound bites, of video clips. And we all get frustrated when the other side does it. And we have to be careful that we as Christians don't fight fire with fire. We as Christians, if we believe we have the truth of God's word, we should be happy to be fact-checked because we don't have anything to hide. And so I want us to think about this, that Christians are not above their master. Jesus was not treated fairly, and so we are not above our master, and falsehoods will be claimed of us. Distortions will be claimed of us. But at the end of the day, we have the truth of God and his word. And so I want to encourage us, brothers and sisters, to not be fearful or complain about fact-checking, but bring it on. Bring on the ability to defend God's word, to know the truth, and to live by it, even if it brings temporal harm in this life. We have the truth of God's word. We are people of truth, and we shouldn't be afraid. Not that we're afraid, but frustrated by it. And just know that the depravity of man works in the hearts of those who have yet to believe. And so there will be distortions, but may we not complain about fact-checking, but look at the fact-checkers and fact-check the fact-checkers if we need to. And so coming back and seeing the truth of God's word and having the fact that we have the truth give us sharp minds and sharp hearts to look into the world and God's creation and what is going around us, and have sharp minds to confront falsehood. And so we love you, and may we be people of the truth, not afraid to answer questions or be challenged, because we know that we stand on the truth of God's word. And so love you, and look forward to worshiping with you on Sunday. And please let us know how we can serve you and pray for you during these difficult times. God bless.